After 8 years in love, my boyfriend threw a wedding dress that someone else had already worn right in my face. He shouted angrily, "It's just a wedding dress. Who cares if someone else wore it? Why are you being so dramatic?" I met his furious eyes and, for the first time in 8 years, stayed silent. If I hadn't seen Joanna's social media, I wouldn't have known that he ran all over town in the pouring rain yesterday to help her pick out a wedding dress. The day before the wedding, I packed my bags, placed the ring on the table, and took one last look at the 12-hour wedding countdown on the wall. I quietly left, telling no one. But on the wedding day, he was frantic. Holding the wedding dress in my hands, I stood there, frozen. Vincent knew perfectly well that the dress had been rejected by Joanna. Yet, he still wanted me to try it on. Bitterness choked me, leaving me voiceless. That's when a sales associate hesitantly took the dress from my hands and tried to lighten the mood with a smile. "Mr. Vincent, why not check out some other dresses in our store? Ms. Lily has such a presence, anything would look good on her." I listened to the associate's words, neither agreeing nor disagreeing, just silent. Vincent, seeing my indifferent attitude towards the dress, flared up again with anger. "Do you even know how many stores Joanna visited yesterday to find you a dress? It was pouring rain out there, and did she complain even once? But here you are, nitpicking without so much as a thank you. What's your deal?" I was stunned. I looked up, meeting his bloodshot gaze. Had I ever begged Joanna to help me pick a dress? I hadn't even confronted them about the secret dress photo shoot. And now he's pointing fingers at me? A wave of indignation surged from my heart. But all I could manage to say was, "Vincent, I never asked her for help." The room went silent, and more eyes from the bridal shop were on us, gossip already starting. Vincent, patience at its end, suppressed his anger and pointed at the dress in the associate's hands. "I'll ask one last time, will you try it on?" His voice wasn't lowered, drawing more attention. I finally looked at him, met his gaze, and calmly replied, "No." At that moment, everyone gasped, while Vincent let out a derisive laugh. He took the dress from the associate, brushed past my shoulder, walked straight to the counter, and shredded the dress with scissors. "If you don't like it, there's no need to wear it." Vincent paid, then left, leaving behind a pile of torn fabric and a lonely me without even glancing back. That night, when I got home, there was a bowl of congealed noodles on the table. I chuckled to myself, ignored it, and ordered takeout. Isn't it ridiculous? Grown adults, yet the only way he knows to make up is with that same bowl of tasteless noodles. On social media, Joanna flaunted a new bottle of Dior perfume with the caption, "Vincent, the champion of making amends. Officially forgiven for not replying to me this afternoon." I clenched my phone, my fingers digging into my palm. How could he do this, after the loss of a child? He promised to atone, to distance himself from the one who accidentally caused my miscarriage. Now she's held higher than me? Suddenly, it hit me. It was my fault. My constant compromise enabled him to act so recklessly. No more. I opened a chat, trembling as I typed the message, "Hi, is the previous position still available? I'm ready to handle my resignation immediately." The reply came quickly, "We'd be delighted to have you, Ms. Lily." I put away my phone and set my takeout on the table. Just as Vincent emerged from the bedroom, he noticed the untouched noodles and snapped, "Lily, what does this mean? You won't eat the noodles I worked hard to make and yet you order takeout? Do you know how long it took me?" I laughed dryly, meeting his gaze. "Nothing. I didn't even want to argue." He, seeing my demeanor, scoffed, kicking the table hard. In an instant, the takeout's broth soaked me, and the bowl shattered on the ground. Am I crazy? I shouldn't have made that for you, knowing it's all for nothing. He barked. I stood there, sticky and drenched with broth. A dead silence enveloped the living room. Seeing my state, Vincent went to the bathroom and returned with a wet towel, offering it with a tinge of regret. "All right, clean yourself up. Can we compromise? We're so close to the wedding, I don't want things to be this messy. I chuckled lightly. The sudden heartache enveloped me. Just then, a cute ringtone chimed. Vincent, just composed, now fumbled hastily to pick up an elegant gift bag by the sofa, ready to leave. Yet, he paused, glancing at me. Lily, something came up with work. I'll be back later. With a slam, he was gone. Ridiculous. We worked at the same company. Did he think I wouldn't know if there was an event? That night, I didn't know how I made it to the bathroom, or how I cleaned the mess. All I knew was that the cold shower was a harsh awakening. The entire night, I plotted my departure. The next morning, I arrived on time at the company lobby. Just before the elevator doors closed, a familiar hand stopped it. Sorry, 2 more. Vincent, hand in hand with Joanna, stepped into the elevator affectionately. My heart ached, threatening to consume me. Wasn't I ready to leave him? It's just 8 years of love. Why does it still hurt so much? Noticing my gaze, Vincent glanced back, and that one look left him stunned. My eyes were red, as if tears were about to fall any second. He quickly let go of my hand. Realizing he hadn't come home all night, his face was full of guilt. After we exited the elevator, he forcefully grabbed my wrist and led me into the break room. I struggled and said, Vincent, let me go. My voice was loud enough that everyone in the office turned to look. Vincent looked around, irritated, and quietly said, Don't make a scene at work. Do you want to keep your job or not? It's a public place. I looked at him and smiled. Yeah, I don't want to work here anymore. Don't joke like that. Let's talk somewhere else, okay? Let me explain, he pleaded. Considering that I hadn't quit yet, I decided to hear him out. In the break room, Vincent calmed down a bit and said, All right, stop throwing a tantrum. What kind of behavior is this? I got straight to the point. Vincent, I'm not here to talk with you. Step aside. Don't block me from quitting. He reacted like he'd heard a huge joke. Quit? Did you forget? I worked hard to promote you to this high position. Now you're just gonna leave? Have you thought about how that reflects on me? I looked at him in disbelief. You worked hard? Vincent, remember, I gave up my position for the child and handed over the project, which led to your bossy attitude today. My heart ached and my voice grew hoarse. Just then, the door was suddenly thrown open. Joanna and her group of friends barged into the break room, shouting, So that's how you climbed the corporate ladder while being pregnant, connections. Another woman, who was doing her nails, chimed in, I recorded it, just in case she denies it. Hearing the recording, Vincent panicked. He knew deep down how he got that position. The situation flipped and Vincent, who had been begging for my forgiveness, now sided with them, saying, Even if Lily and I are married, I won't tolerate such things. I'll report everything honestly and accept any consequences. Malicious words surrounded me like they wanted to devour me. I took a deep breath and calmly said, Fine, just as you all wish. Yet Joanna wouldn't stop. She led her crew to my desk and said, Since you're leaving, let us help you pack. I spun around towards my desk. In an instant, they'd swept everything to the floor, even my plant. They even stomped on it. As they moved to open a drawer, I realized something and rushed over. But it was too late. The necklace that had been with me for 20 years was violently thrown to the ground. Tears welled up in my eyes as I crawled to it. The moment I touched it, the beads scattered. They hit the floor with a crisp sound. They laughed, Oops, we didn't think the necklace was that flimsy. Meanwhile, Vincent just stood there, watching coldly. He knew how much that necklace meant to me. He knew it was Joanna who caused my child to be lost after 2 years of trying. He knew everything but did nothing. Sometimes silence hurts more than words. I thought after this mess, they'd force me to resign. But what surprised me was, that evening, the manager actually approached Vincent and me, smiling and said, Do you know? You two were picked as spokespersons for workplace collaboration partners. You'll be on TV. The mention of workplace collaboration made Vincent's troubled face light up with a smile. Such an honor. Thanks for this opportunity, we'll do our best for the company. The manager patted Vincent's shoulder and smiled. Keep at it. Everyone knew that being on that show could mean promotions, raises, and maybe even a career made for life. Vincent, always craving fame and fortune, wouldn't let such a chance slip. The next day, he took a long leave from work. He bought 999 roses and sent a bunch of designer bags, Hermes, Givenchy, everything. If I could think of a luxury item, he bought it. I knew he'd spent a fortune. In the car, he took my hand and placed a stunning 5-carat diamond ring on it. Lily, for the past 8 years, it's always been you I love, he said. As for Joanna, I admit I was blinded for a while, but I deleted her contact ages ago. Look. Vincent showed me his phone with a confident look, just like when he promised under the stars to love me forever. I laughed at his ridiculous stance. But this time, no more pain. I could face all of Vincent's changes calmly, including everything about Joanna. All right, I forgive you, I said. Vincent hugged me tightly, trembling, his voice broke. I'm sorry, Lily, it's always been my fault. Thank you for forgiving me. I swear, I won't make you angry ever again, okay? His grip tightened as if trying to merge me to the core of his being. I admit, for that brief moment, he did love me. But unfortunately, Vincent, it's all too late. Since you care so much about fame and fortune, I'll let you have it. You can have all the attention at our wedding. The wedding is just 10 days away. These days, our manager's been calling us every now and then, making sure the wedding will go smoothly. And the media is all over our moves, hoping to write something different at the work collaboration endorsement in 10 days. Even old friends who I haven't heard from in ages are reaching out, caring about us. Everyone's super invested in this event/wedding. Because of that, Vincent is getting more nervous and treating me even better. In just 1 week, he took me to 18 different places. Every time we passed a bridal shop, he dragged me in to try on gowns, over and over again, and almost drained his savings because of it. I'm getting more excited for that day, too. After all, I've been gathering evidence, and it's almost ready. Just waiting for the wedding day to let it all out. The day before the wedding, the company threw a big party. Vincent and I sat at the main table, getting cheers and toasts from everyone. Vincent was totally lost in the fun and laughter. By the end, almost everyone was sprawled on the sofas, half asleep. In the dim light of the room, I stood in front of a passed-out Vincent, looking at his familiar yet distant face, and softly said, "Goodbye, Vincent." That night, I packed up my suitcase, gently placed the ring on the table, took one last look at the wedding countdown that showed 12 hours, and walked away. I deleted everything about him from my phone, feeling empty inside. As I boarded the plane, I wasn't quite sure what I was feeling, like a long-held emotion was finally getting a release. It was going to be a long flight. Probably landing right as the wedding finishes. By then, the gift I prepared for Vincent should be well underway. I closed my eyes and drifted to sleep. Not sure how long passed, but a flight attendant gently woke me, letting me know we were about to land. Once I turned my phone back on after landing, I was frozen seeing all the trending searches, every single one of them bashing me. Right at the top was a post, shocking. Lily's real reason for running away from her wedding is eloping with an older man. Shaking, I clicked the link. There it was, a picture of me shaking hands with the head of a rival company. It was a bad angle, and this guy happened to be older, making everyone think I ran off with him. Scrolling through the comments was overwhelming. They were all viciously against me. It's crazy what people think qualifies as a professional partner. Not only did she run away, but she picked some old guy. Girls lost her mind. Goes to show, with a big enough crowd, you get all kinds. It's like a flood of negativity pouring into my mind. My whole body shook with anger. What about the video? The evidence I worked so hard to gather of his cheating, and the videos of his shady promotion tactics, where are they all now? I couldn't bring myself to head to my original destination. Instead, I bought a return ticket. Time to go back. After everything Vincent did to wrong me, all those promises to protect me, to make up for the loss of our child, now he throws me under the bus, making me a public enemy. Just the other day, he was on one knee in front of the music fountain, holding my hand, swearing, "Lily, it was because of me that we lost our first child. But I promise from now on, I won't let anything hurt you. Your life, always above mine." But oaths are just words, his heart had changed. Suddenly, my phone rang. I looked at the familiar caller, feeling a bit cynical. Calling now, what? To mock me? I answered and there was silence on the other side for ages. Right as I was about to hang up, Vincent spoke in a hoarse voice. "Lily, you didn't mean to, right? Tell me the video really isn't your doing. Were you forced into this? Someone told me it was your work, but I just can't believe it." I was stunned. Never expected his first words to be anything but mocking. "I did it," I said. "Are you serious, Lily? All this chaos, just 'cause of the video? You'd really leave me over that? Even run away from our wedding?" I truly wanted to laugh. Just that? When I first met Vincent, he was at his career's lowest. Everyone underestimated him, snatched projects, and poached his team. I'll never forget that night, a tall, strong man curled up in my arms, trying not to cry, with his nose all red. That was a side of him I'd never seen. After that night, I transferred to his company, climbed to the top with my own effort, and pulled Vincent along. Then I got pregnant and faced the risk of being let go, so I handed over a crucial project to Vincent. Many people had their eyes on it. He reached his dream, stepping on my shoulders. When I got back to work, the first thing he said was, "If you hadn't been pregnant, would you really still have this position? You really think you made me?" Later on, he personally brought Joanna into the company, guiding her through projects, writing proposals together. Watching them, laughing and joking, felt like looking at the old US. Touching my now flat belly, I felt my first desire for revenge against him. Vincent may never understand the agony I went through, the unending pain. He'd never empathize. That's why he can easily say, "Forgive me." He finds my running away from the wedding baffling. On the phone, I said, "Vincent, don't you see it? I'm completely done with you. So much that being dragged through the mud is neither here nor there." Just as he started to speak, I hung up abruptly. It's whatever. The truth doesn't matter anymore. I've already left him behind. After the whole trending situation blew up, I kept reaching out to the old company to connect with their people and consulted a team of professional lawyers to help clear my name. But the matter kept escalating. Walking down the street, people would give me side glances. That evening, I went back to the south of the city. I was ready to see Vincent one last time. If he didn't clarify things, he could expect a lawsuit. But I didn't expect to find Vincent still wearing that wedding tuxedo, looking all worn out on the couch. The originally dim room suddenly became bright as day. Vincent's gaze landed on me, and his previously deflated demeanor flared up. "Lily, why did you hang up on me without even listening? Since you ran away from the wedding, have I blamed you once? Don't you feel any guilt for this?" He was shaking, holding back his anger. He seemed to think, from me running away to the wedding, the media bombarding him with questions, and now my silence, all of it. Like he was the one feeling wronged. My fingers clutched my phone, turning white. Words felt so useless right then, I had no interest in explaining myself. "You better clear things up online, or I'll expose everything you've done over the years, including that child." That lost child was always a topic we avoided. He was always scared I'd lose it, act out, or worse. Vincent didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at me, then laughed at himself. "Lily, see, you didn't even ask before assuming I posted that online, that I created everything that's being said about you. Did you ever think about all this from my perspective? Considered my feelings?" He suddenly lost control. He turned on the TV, casting the wedding's live stream from his phone. "Lily, have you seen this live stream?" I was silent. From flying back and forth and sneaking a peek at posts during brief breaks, how could I have had time to watch any live stream? The air seemed to freeze. Only the TV was quietly playing the live stream. On screen, blue roses were draped all over the beautiful wedding venue. The venue was packed. Cameras rotated 360 degrees, catching every angle. The company partners' representatives were all at our wedding, too. It wasn't until the MC repeatedly called the bride to the stage that everyone realized something was off. Vincent looked like a mess standing on stage. At that moment, the big screen changed. I held my breath, unconsciously clutching my clothes. But the video meant to play only flickered for a second before the screen changed to that viral picture of me. I had countless questions, but the video kept rolling. The scene got chaotic, and the piano stopped playing, replaced by a familiar yet eerie voice. "Is everyone still waiting for this ridiculous wedding?" Lily ran away. With those words, cameras captured the screen, clicking away, gasps filling the room. I had imagined this scene countless times, but seeing it, I was filled with bitterness and disappointment. I was wrong from the start. Joanna kept adding to my so-called crimes. She disrespected the partner companies, ditched everyone, and ran off with an old guy before the wedding. Who'd hire someone like her? Vincent watched my shoulders quiver, and like before, held me from behind. "Lily, now you know why, right? Do you see who's behind this?" I didn't reply. Instead, I pried his fingers off and shoved him away hard. "Vincent, whether you're involved or not, you didn't even make a statement to clear my name. Besides, I don't need your so-called concern. Since you won't post anything, just wait for my lawyer's notice. See you in court." Vincent was stunned, as if time had stopped. He never imagined I'd actually leave him. Even my wedding getaway was premeditated. He naively thought this was the last, and I'd stay after coming back. Suddenly, Vincent grabbed my hand tight, not letting me go, his eyes full of strain. "Lily, what do you want? Should I call Joanna to face you? Please, stop. Do you know what would happen if we call in the lawyers?" His tone was desperate and loud. I watched this familiar sight, laughing bitterly. In the past, when I begged him to stay with me during my pregnancy, he held on to his files, saying work was more important. His face was set, unmoved by anything. It was like nothing could shake his career. It's as if that was his world. From that moment, I saw through him. For anything work-related, I'd never go to him or ask for his help. So, when we were chosen as partners in the company association, my first thought wasn't happiness. It was relief. Finally, I could end this chapter of tears and pain, end this never-ending wait. Finally, I could tell my past self and the child I lost. It's over, and vengeance is ours. My cold gaze stayed on Vincent. "Haven't you figured it out yet?" I never joke about what I say. The moment those words fell, I turned and left without hesitation. Saying goodbye to my past self, and to that mistaken love. On my way to the law firm, I touched my phone, which had been powered off all this time. After deciding something, I turned it on. After all this, I hadn't dared look at any trending topics or at any hate comments, scared of online bullying. But the moment my phone came to life, I saw my mom's 99 unread messages. Suddenly, my heart ached unbearably, each beat spreading that suffocating feeling through me. My mom doesn't even know how to use a phone. She types slowly and carefully, letter by letter. But I never thought she'd send me so many messages. With trembling fingers, I opened the chat and noticed each message had a few minutes in between. They just kept coming in. It suddenly hit me, how that guy, the one who swore he'd love me forever, reacted when he heard I was in trouble. Couldn't even bother to make a statement for me. He stayed quiet right there in the eye of the storm, didn't say a word to defend me, and kept silent till the bitter end. Turns out the person who loves me most has been by my side all along, I just never noticed. I wasn't even out of the neighborhood when Vincent grabbed my hand from behind, furious. Lily, where do you think you're going? I've already showed you the replay of the live video, and I've said it wasn't my doing that you hit the trending topics. I made that clear from the start. If you're thinking of sending a lawyer's letter, leave me out of it, alright? Did he think I wouldn't get what he meant? But I didn't respond directly. Instead, I said coldly, if you cling to me again, I'm calling the cops. He was stunned, probably never thought I'd say that. We stood in silence for what felt like forever until he suddenly asked, Lily, have you ever loved me all these years? How can it be so easy for you to talk about leaving? Not even a sliver of dignity left for me? I've tried to keep you, he continued, voice growing more agitated. But you've never been willing to meet me halfway. All those times I waited in vain, and now we're back to the same word over and over, goodbye. What do I have to do for you to stay? I suddenly remembered when he shamelessly favored Joanna, with that look in his eyes like he wanted to love her to the bone. I still didn't speak, but I didn't stop what I was doing. That's when Vincent pulled out his phone, shoving it in front of me. I've already called Joanna over. Can we sort this out in person? I'll still stand by you. I struggled, but even as I grew pale, I couldn't break free from his grip. He never waited for my consent, never asked for my thoughts. Claiming regret in the same breath. Tears filled my eyes as I almost shouted, voice hoarse, how many times are you going to side with Joanna? You're something else, Vincent. It was tense until Joanna arrived. Only then did Vincent let go of my wrist. I quickly called the police. Meanwhile, online buzz was getting louder. Almost everyone I knew was flooding my messages with insults. No one believed me, even though there was no way I did it. The company I partnered with kept pushing me to make a statement to fix this mess, promising to fully support me. But right now, when do I even have time to issue a statement? Joanna unexpectedly admitted to it all. And what if I did it, Lily? I planned ahead. Know why you still can't put out a statement? She crossed her arms, smirking at me knowingly. Her expression said it all. She was the one that messed things up. I snickered, coaxing her to keep talking. Nobody knew I was recording everything. And Joanna sure was helpful, spilling every little secret she'd been hiding. But what surprised me was Vincent didn't join in her confession, and she didn't mention his name once. The entire time, he didn't let go of my hand. I could clearly feel the familiar yet strange sensation of the ring on his finger, like a long-forgotten memory. Now that you've said your piece, get lost. Vincent's gaze pierced Joanna, his voice as cold as steel. I timed it perfectly, throwing in, leaving so soon. Joanna, I called you an idiot and you didn't believe me. Look outside. When she saw the police cars, her face went from shock to fear. Realizing what was happening, she screeched, you two played me. Vincent, didn't you say after you humiliate her, we'd leave? What was that? Vincent really thought he and I were on the same page. You deserve to face the consequences, Joanna. But the cuffs clicked right behind him. That's when he realized I never intended to forgive him. At the police station, I gave my statement and submitted all the evidence. Then, I published a prior statement online, even attaching that video. Sure enough, the internet exploded. The narrative flipped. The older guy rumored as my affair partner turned out to be the general manager of the H group. We had just been working together. Reading the comments, I chuckled. Never saw that coming. This guy is shameless, pretending to be one way in front of you and another behind your back. Good for her, getting away. I wasn't in the mood to keep scrolling. In an avalanche, no snowflake ever feels responsible. What if this had never come to light? Could I still stand tall like this? Would my family have stopped worrying? Everyone just saw it as a joke. Nobody really empathized. That afternoon, I went home. I hadn't even addressed them sneaking wedding photos on me. And now, he turns around and blames me? When our eyes met, time seemed to freeze. It wasn't until then that I noticed my mom's increasingly gaunt and aged face, and for the first time, I let my emotions loose, tears pouring down uncontrollably. Years of pent-up grievances spilling out. Since the first year I married Vincent, when have I truly felt wrapped in love? When has anyone cared for me, cherished me? Never. I was blind back then to have believed in such a deceitful man. The work colleagues who I collaborated with called again, saying Vincent would be completely blacklisted. No company would want him now. They even apologized for the past criticisms and suggested throwing another event for me. I declined, honored but firm. I never want to be in the public eye again. From now on, I just want to enjoy simple moments with my family. As for Vincent, after being detained and blacklisted, he vanished from the scene. I heard through friends that nobody would hire him, until a construction foreman pitted him enough to take him in. Still, could someone as proud as Vincent endure such hardship? In the end, he literally worked himself to death on the site. Before he passed, he tried calling me one last time. Too bad I was busy taking my mom shopping and didn't look at my phone. For the rest of my life, I'm gonna be a happiness chaser.